So the stamp set I'm going to be using today, Shops My Stash episode, is Hip Stamp Hooray Stamp Set. It's a Lily Builder stamp set. So it has these really cute Asiatic lilies, or stargazer lilies as they're sometimes called. And you basically build up the color to create the image. So it has 3 stamps per flower, and there are 2 flowers. So you're going to have this solid, which is going to be the background, and then this is sort of like your middle color, and then this top stamp would be your deepest and darker color. So you start off with the lightest color that you're going to be using, and I decided I wanted to try a purplish flower. So shot my inks and pulled out all the purple dyes that I had. I already have one of the background stamps loaded onto my platform, so I'm just going to go ahead with the lightest color of purple. I'll be using ink up my stamp really well. And then I'm going to go over that with my Chucky tool. Try and get a good impression of my stamp. Okay, I can see some areas up here and up there where it's missing, so I'm just going to go back over it again before we switch out to our middle stamp. So I'm going to pay special attention to those 2 areas, make sure I really apply a little bit of pressure with my Chucky tool when I go over those areas. And that time we got a much better impression. I'm really happy with that. So I'm just going to squirt just a little bit of my stamp cleaner on that. Kind of clean that stamp up a little bit. And then we're going to grab the second stamp for this flower. Okay, so now that we've cleaned that stamp and put it away, we want to come in with our second stamp for this flower, which would be this stamp here. And we're going to stamp that with the second darkest color or second lightest color, whatever, I don't know, whatever way we want to describe that. So you just want to pay special attention that you line the stamp up with the first stamp so that you get the right impression, okay? Okay, so I'm just gonna ink it up with my next color. And I made sure that I lined it up with the first image as best as possible. Okay, so then we're gonna press down and then go over it. And then if I need to, I can do that a second time. And it looks like it probably could use a second go round with that, but you can start to see the flower come to life with that color variation. And I love the stamping platform because you get it in the same place no matter how many times you need to re-ink and go over it. So we're going to go ahead and get this stamp cleaned up and then go in with our last and darkest color. Okay, so I have that last stamp lined up. I think I may want to go in first with this Seedless Preserves and see how that works. But if I don't like that, then I may choose to actually go in with black and see how that looks. So we'll try this first. I actually love the way that the preserves look. I can see that I got the stamp just a little bit off, but I still really like the way that it turned out. Let me go ahead and zoom in for you so you can really see how it's built that stamp up. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to go in and just make a couple of these stems and see which one I'm going to end up using. I'm going to end up cutting them out by hand because there is no coordinating die for this. And then I think I'm going to maybe do a couple of these sentiments. We'll see which one I decide. But yeah, I'm just going to do a couple of these stems. Okay, so I actually decided on just one of the leaves and then one of the sentiments. So I'm going to come in with this dark green from Stampabilities and go over the stem and leaves. And then I'm going to use Stampabilities black ink for the sentiment. And then we'll go ahead and cut it out by hand, also known in the crafting world as fussy cut, where you just kind of cut it out by hand and go over the image. So I'm just going to get a good impression, and then we'll get these cut out. So here are my little pieces that I cut out by hand. And I'm just going to glue them onto a card front. So this is a note card that I just mounted this background, and I made that background using a stencil. So it was really easy to make that background. I'm going to show you just really quickly how I did it. And then you guys can make your own background if you have any stencils lying around. So this is the stencil set I used. It's from Recollections. This is also something that I've had in my stash and hadn't used. I haven't had these as long though, so I have to be honest about that. So with the stencils, it has a smooth side and then it has a rough side. The rough side you want to be face up, and then the smooth side you want to have face down directly onto your paper. And that's so your color can get really good contact with your paper. So whenever I'm using stencils or doing any inking, what I like to do is I use this Amazon Basics, which is a repositional non-permanent adhesive. Just put a little bit, just a little dot on the back, and then I put on the back of my cardstock, and then that way my cardstock won't move. And then I take my stencil, again making sure that the smooth side is down, and then I just take some low-tack tape. Low-tack tape is like washi tape, painter's tape, masking tape, something that isn't going to be hard to get up. And then I put that on my stencil. Looks like I had a little piece of that stencil that got bent in the packaging. I'm not going to too much worry about that though. Okay, so then what you want to do is you want to bring in something that you can blend your ink with, and that can be brushes, blending tools, even I've seen people use Q-tips or cotton swabs. I purchased this set of blending brushes from Amazon. There's a whole bunch of different colors, so I like that you can, you know, have it color coordinated or what have you. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick a couple colors. So there I have pink, blue, purple. And then you want to grab your dyes, whatever kind of dye you are going to be using. This is a pigment dye from Stampabilities. Okay, and then what I do is, starting off of the stencil, I just take it and I go in circles. You can go back and forth as well. Okay, that's my first color. Then I want to go in with my next color. I think I'm going to choose the blue next. So you want to find a blue. Okay, this is called Peacock Feathers. This is another of those distress inks. So I'm going to go in with that in the middle. And again, I do circles, but you do whatever works for you. Okay. And then last but not least, we want to grab our pink. Okay, this is kind of like a, I don't know if it's orangey or pink. This is what we're going to use right today, though. And I'm just dabbing it on my media mat to get a little bit of the color off. Okay. So I just want to show you just how easy it was to make that background with a stencil. You can see here, I could go back over it with that pink because that turned out really, really light. But that was how quick it was to make my background. So now I'm just going to adhere my pieces to my card and then we'll be all done. So this is what it looks like once I adhered all my pieces down. The flower, I popped it up on foam dots. I also popped the little sentiment up on foam dots. The stem I went ahead and glued directly down to the card base. And then I'm just going to randomly glue a few of these sequin to the card as well. So not too much, I don't want to overdo it. Like just now, I just made a bit of a mess. So I just want to take a few of these. Okay, and then I'm going to use my pickup tool and my art glitter glue for this. I know I zoomed in, but I just want you to see. I'm just randomly placing a few dots here and there. And then I'm going to pick up some of these little sequin and glue them. So some of them you can't really see right now, but once the card catches light, then it definitely would pick them up. So there's a couple that look like little diamonds and jewels, and then there are ones that look more just like regular sequin. That one wants to go on my finger rather on the card. There we go. Just a couple more. And then one more. Okay, so that's all for this card. I'm not going to add a sentiment inside the card. I'll let that come more closer to the time when I'm actually ready to gift it. But I'm really happy with how that turned out. I think it's very cute. And the inside of the card is just blank white right now. But I'm all glad that I was able to shop my stash and actually create something from these items that have just been sitting around and collecting dust. Until next time, this is Genoa with a crafty mess. I'm so glad you guys joined me today. Until next time, bye.